Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Trine 2. This is an interesting point. Before you even hit start and load the game in, you are effectively in this one screen demo of the game where you can seemingly just interact a little bit. Now, it seems to me like it is loading in perhaps only the abilities that you've unlocked so far. I guess the best way to test that would be to see how many things you could summon at once. But yeah, the fact that you have fire arrows and everything to start with, and the explosion on the fire arrows. So it's funny that it would load in all this and give you this demo and just like waste processing power to launch the app when there's kind of nothing to do here. Like, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. It might make sense if this was the exact level
While in the caverns,
we're about to
Pontius
enter,
had picked up some mushrooms,
but then
Zoya and Amadeus
we wouldn't
persuaded
need
him
this
not to eat them.
cutscene,
Amadeus
this
recalled a
dialogue
time when he
to
had made a mushroom
hide a
potion in
load.
his school days. Indeed, that had not ended well. As the
I like
heroes climbed out of the caverns,
the general idea of jumping into a game,
of morning.
certainly, but on PC, you're just not likely to have like save states
A
as a
beautiful
thing.
dawn.
Rosabelle's castle shouldn't be far now.
On consoles, the Nintendo Switch is kind of notorious for this, in that the apps are just always running, and the Xbox is the same way. Like, it's just saving all the RAM to a file and then loading the exact state of the console. Well, on PC, there isn't kind of a universal way to do that. It'd be kind of nice if Steam as an API offered that, or if DirectX as an API offered that for Windows. And certainly, let's see. Shoot into the water with a fully drawn ice bow forms an ice raft. Do we have ice bow? No. Game? Well, I guess there's a point to be made here, isn't there? You can't go any further. You can either swim, or you can make an ice raft. And you could re-roll, I guess.
There's some huge hairy fruit up in those trees.
They're called coconuts.
So there's some huge hairy nuts.
No, they're fruit.
Shouldn't they be called cocoa fruit then?
I don't know.
Let's swim down here. See, I guess you just really can't do much under the water. It seems like you could do something, but you can't even really spawn things underwater either. So I could hit the X button here and I could reset everything as it is. But let's not do that. Let's just stick with what we've got and just assume that the game will give us enough resources and experience to eventually get to this point to make an ice raft. We're not there yet. Oh, I guess we are there yet. There's kind of this like crab sound effect, and I think it's probably... Nope, it is just a crab. I was gonna say I think it was probably the game kind of rattling, but with the elements there. I don't think the crab is a enemy per se, as much as it is just a place to jump on. So I did what was probably a mistake in checking and finding out that there actually are at least 1 XP missing from basically every level so far. So, suffice it to say, I'm not super enthralled with the idea of, like, going back and collecting all of the collectibles. And I would also point out that we actually, for the main story, are kind of close to being done with this game. Much closer than I would have thought. Like, we have like 4 levels left, and they could be fairly short levels at that. So if this is shooting me upward, then downward we need to go. What was that? It just collapsed. I don't understand perhaps the value in pushing all of these barrels up like this. It seems like they are maybe extra. Maybe that platform was just programmed so it would have always fallen if you touched it. That could have been the case. There is DLC levels, so there's about 7 more levels, which I assume are part of the complete story aspect there. And yeah, I expect that we'll this guy seems like he probably attacks his own enemies. Flip this switch, and then we'll just build some steps. How to get up higher would be the next question. I guess what you probably want to do is get up here like this, then move these here like that. Notice the camera does not really want to let you get that close to the upper part, though. Let's go ahead and get a checkpoint first. then swing up here. Collect that. So it does just kind of feel like there's perhaps a just maximum of puzzles that the maker of this game feels like they can really make, because they just are not really trying that hard to add a lot of content. That it's one, maybe two new ideas, new actions that they are, I think, slightly different from Trine 1. And then Trine 3, obviously we know goes 3D, so that's a big change. And I could see definitely an argument being made that this would have been the game they would have put the least amount of content in, because they were working on moving to 3D. Okay. So the question here is going to be, how do we do this? And I guess what you do is you probably take this first, attach that, attach that, and then spin this around and attach that. Or you just get on that platform and don't worry about it. What's interesting is how the wood there is not really stopping the air. I would have thought it would have. I don't think this is actually helpful. I suppose you could just solve this puzzle by just timing your movement a little bit better. Do this, do this. Well, see, that's the problem though, isn't it? You're going to need to really get on this platform, or at least get on the center platform at a very specific time. Yep. And kind of getting to the edge here so you can get far enough away. This feels a little wonky still. It was a lot of work just to get over one step. That's as high as apparently I can spin it. Okay. Got some more things to collect. guess the idea would be to roll this. And I guess these lanternfish, which looked fairly deadly with their big teeth, I guess they can't actually attack you. Which I'm a little shocked by that. Now that I know how long this game really is, there really probably is only enough XP to unlock everything if you collect and do everything. I don't know if I would have died if I'd run out of oxygen there. I wish the game perhaps forced me to run out of oxygen in one earlier sequence, so I know whether it is a scenario where you will take damage versus a scenario where you would simply die instantaneously. Here we have another concept art, which I assume is giving us more backstory again. But is there something special I can do to this guy? Well, you can try to hit him with the ice bow, but take note that the ice bow doesn't do extra damage. It just slows him down. There really is just no other thing you can do here other than just drop a box on him. Just flippantly throw boxes at enemies. And once again, once you get the audio, the fight section cleared, the music just swaps back to fairly generic fantasy music. It needs definitely a delay in it. Simple programming, really. If music has been triggered to stop playing in the last 100 seconds, wait at least 100 seconds. To play the next song. Okay. That can help us somewhat. So we'll just stand on top of this. Collect that. We got some more stuff down here. So we're up to level 2. Well, another level. It kind of feels like actually you probably won't have enough experience to unlock all this, because yeah. But if you can reset all, then if there's like an achievement for getting all of these skills unlocked for this character or this character or this character, we could just do that, reset, do it again, reset, and then redistribute it however we want. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of frustration without some kind of artifact. Now, if I got an artifact like in the first game where they let you swim in underwater forever, if I got an artifact that would point me to the remaining experience orbs in a level, I could see at least entertaining the idea of running through each level. But the real problem there is there's very few levels, I think, that would exist in this game that aren't going to have at least a little bit of frustration to them. Like, none of the experiences were particularly great. I have no idea what I'm actually supposed to be doing. I guess I'm doing that. But I guess you have to realize you're doing that, and I would guess that also means that there's like goblins I'm shooting from off screen. Yeah, you probably would have needed some explosion ability or something. Okay. Go. And go. Jump on this. Okay. If we were to spawn one of these, let me ask this question. Would this stick into a spike? Yes. Would it set on fire and explode? Yes. Maybe it would buy me a little bit more time than just doing this, but who's to say? Well, I've lost my double jumper character. I also don't particularly want to have to walk back and refill it. That would require going through this whole level here and then doing that again. Feels like there should definitely be an orb here. And there is a whole thing here. Interesting. Okay. Take this, draw a line, grab one, and stick it here. Well, now at cross desires, I guess, because I want now to make this work. To get to the higher area. But yeah. I can long jump this as much as I want, and that isn't gonna work. I really couldn't have even gotten up with that character. Interesting. So now this creates a situation where you're gonna just have to wait, and you need to destroy this box to get to the other area. Otherwise, another box instead might get destroyed. And we don't want that to happen. This is just like so perfectly wedged in here. Okay. Long jump. And fail. Good thing there's no fall damage at least. Long jump and fail. Yes, fire damage. How many things have I created? 4? So, what I need to do is see if I can get maybe that. Hold it down. Doesn't seem like it would work. Whoops. I will see if this works. Just destroy that too while we're at it. And we'll start again. This is a lot of work we're doing to basically get what looks like might be 1 XP. A lot of work for what is 1 XP. And honestly, I could have literally just made it through this part and then jumped back. So I really should have gone forward. Alright, this looks like this might be taking me to a castle. Across the ocean, I guess, was the section that we just did in this level before. And so it definitely feels like we're just going to quickly be approaching the Goblin King. Maybe there would be a second version of this game where you could swim through those segments. Yeah, I question if maybe there was another potential segment where what am I trying to say? And I keep losing my chain of thought. These puzzles and just trying to figure out what you're looking at do take enough of my mental time. Taking enough of my mental power to have to try and figure out what's going on. Right. Yeah, I think there might have been a clam section earlier in the game that I may have missed. Okay. So what am I supposed to do as far as all this? You can't just throw a box against the wall. Could, of course, do this, which would make some sense. And then we can just quickly, I guess, yeah. There's still a very heavy leaning happening here on the jumping ability of your thief character. And you can't get away from the idea of a Trine. There needs to be 3 characters, in my opinion. It could have been a different group of 3 characters with different abilities. It would have been nice, certainly, if the first collection of puzzles in the game were so good and so well thought out that you could make trying to just be solving those puzzles with a different skill set and potentially trying to giving you a few new
My sister
puzzles,
is sweet,
but
while I am unseen. But she is not strong. I should be queen.
interesting. So now we're seeing the jealousy. But I can also say that since I don't remember a single puzzle in Trine 1, I can almost certainly guarantee that the puzzles in Trine 1 were not good enough to potentially make a new Trine group of 3 characters. These feel like the flowers, but just underwater. But they are not as bad as the flowers. I hope I didn't miss a section, but honestly I kind of don't care to. Like at this point, if I miss something, I miss something. That pulls something down, but I'm not sure what. I wasn't really expecting to flood the area by doing that. I was more expecting the I was really just expecting there to be a tunnel here. It feels like the wall should have been animated like leaking with water if that was what was going to happen. Alright. Okay. Down we go to collect more XP. I still stand by my theory that water levels inherently suck in video games. And I think you'd have to really give me a great example to not generally believe that to be true. I'm not sure if this really is going to require timing so much as it might seem. It'll require a little bit of timing, but we've just solved half of the puzzle platforming problem there by just putting cubes. So we can just stand on the cubes and wait for this blade to swing. Notice how they really want to get it in your face here with it coming to the foreground and swinging to the background. There's almost an obsession here with 3D graphics, whereas maybe if they had stayed truer to just a single plane of 2D, there could have been more of a focus, a tighter way that the world would have worked, in a sense. Look around here for the glowing box to see if we can see anything. Well, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Boss fight? Everything gets rainy and dark.
What dreadful weather!
Very unnatural weather change there. You don't really have a knockback on things, so by default you're actually better off just like, it does seem like unless you just really need a slightly faster swinging, using the hammer is the better move. And I really would like to get one of these top tier abilities, but there is definitely an argument to potentially trying to get the cube ability so that your wizard has some form of way of fighting, because he is just completely useless in a fight at the moment. Much more so than in any other situation where there is probably a way to solve a puzzle. I don't know if there's really something we needed to do with this rock. Let's come over here and touch this. And then come here. Okay. put the rock here, because I don't think I really need it. We'll shoot that, so that opens the gears. We'll make a square. Let's open the menu again. We would need 2 more level ups. We'll make a secondary square. We'll make our 3rd square that's slightly off. And then 4th square that's slightly off. And I believe that's everything. And I imagine we may just be working our way to a kind of simplistic end of this level. I don't think I'm really gonna run into a big new boss creature, and I don't think we have like 3 more levels I think after this.
The
of the main
birthday
story.
celebrations were lavish. Sadly, they were disrupted by Princess Rosabelle, who felt she had been slighted by her gifts. Princess Isabel received a golden gown, a diamond tiara, and a pair of silk gloves. Princess Rosabelle received a silver gown, a moonstone necklace, and a pair of lace gloves.
Well, it definitely feels like one princess there was definitely given less than the other. You know, that is an interesting thought to certainly have. For all these fairy tale stories, it is kind of insane how many of the people in charge of the princess and princesses, who almost always are not the actual parents, seem to be totally willing to just uphold that whoever was firstborn will be king and whoever secondborn is trash. And sadly, that's probably really how it works in like the English UK monarchy. But you would think there would be just some people saying, hey, you know what, let's just have co-leaders, or let's just treat both of them really well. I mean, almost all these stories end up with a jilted sister or brother being somewhat justified and becoming homicidal and trying to steal the kingdom. Yeah. Which, if that is just the default thought that you have to hold down the second born, then why is this not jumping higher? Then why not just actually just go the next step there and kill the second born? I guess that's because they need to keep somebody in line just in case the other person dies, the firstborn dies. Interesting. So I guess that's the way you deal with crabs, is you just crush them under a block. Down we'll go here. This definitely just feels like Rosabelle turned her sister into the Goblin King and has now sent you off to kill him. Kill her. Although, if that is just the plan...
Did you know that the octopus has 3 hearts? Hey, that's just like us.
One more bit of XP. It is a little unrealistic that the octopus would just move his arms back and forth in the same motions over and over again. Let's check down deep. Okay. It's not like it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of opportunities to find anything extra here. This all seems a little too linear.
Look, it's Lady Rosabelle.
Well, well, she wasn't lying about being queen.
Zoya, a noble lady like her wouldn't tell lies.
Uh-huh.
You can see how the wizard guy is a little naive. It's pretty obvious what the story here is now. You have this lighting effect, by the way, on the cube that was lighting the background textures, but is actually doing a pretty terrible job of lighting anything in this room. I imagine this entire background wall was painted, and so it's not getting lit up. Only the mid plane is getting lit up.
Some action!
So I assume this is probably it. One last big battle of goblins, possibly all the goblins being turned into goblins by Rosabelle and were actually once soldiers. Okay. I don't think it really changes the story much, though, if we've been killing a bunch of goblins and it turns out that they were just innocent victims that have been transformed. Because clearly in the game there was no way to avoid killing goblins. Trying to figure out if I'm supposed to, if I like really need to have an explosive barrel. What would make some sense is if there was something that you had to blow up with explosive barrels, that explosive arrows took 2 shots to blow up or just wouldn't work at all. I guess it really is a case that the logic is flawed. By giving the ability to just conjure things out of the air, that is way too powerful of an idea to start with. And so for Trine 2, I would get rid of the mage just for that reason alone. Look, just to point out, hey, this logic doesn't make sense. That you could break the game so thoroughly just by spawning squares. You could definitely see that there could have been a different version of this game that was not anywhere as pretty as this, and this could have been a very simplistic, almost like mobile phone-like game. If you wanted to kind of cheap out and make a game like this. Something that would just have, instead of 3D cubes, just a square on the screen. Particularly the first Trine I could see looking a lot like that. Okay. I can't move this while I'm standing on it, can I? Okay. So cube will stop this spinning, and if I'm just figuring that out now, I'm gonna be irritated because that tells me this whole time that's been a thing, hasn't it? This whole freaking time. It's still really not tall enough. What I need to do, pull this up and like stop it there, maybe? Oh, this seems like this is just way too much work. Should just be snapping in the position and just getting it to go up and down even without hitting a ledge is nightmare. Okay, so that should be a platform, and yet that platform is in the background. So, what in the heck was the point of all that? Well, I'm very confused. It's a place where they want water to go so it grows, but it's already in water. know what? I don't have to really do that. I can just do this. Just squeeze a block in there. And hope that that block is good enough. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing here. This all just seems like a lot of everything. Okay. If we make a bigger cube here, we can destroy that. That gives us a new level of safety as far as standing on that. My explosion won't go through that. So I bet what I'm supposed to do is probably swing this here, then have a cube here. Alright, so make a big cube, grab it, swing that there, and then place it down. Which probably means 2 cubes here. There. I mean, still doesn't really want to work. Would a plank work? Can I bump this enough? Can I wedge it in the gears enough? I don't get it. I just don't get it. And this definitely feels like this is a different puzzle than, say, this puzzle here. Which, that too I don't get. Maybe there was something I needed to do. We do have, potentially, a frost platform. So maybe that can, like, maybe that can solve the problem. Make a frost platform here, make a cube here, swing here, fire. Did that get enough water to where it should go? No. Were we close? Oh man. What am I not getting? Well, let's think of something basic here. Maybe the water needs to float above the air. So, maybe I need to take this and then draw a line here and then draw this. Okay. That, I think, does a lot of good. It's like clanking gate sound effects here. Got it. That was weird, but I got it. But you can definitely see how that could have gotten really frustrating, and was pretty frustrating. I'm kind of glad we are approaching the end of the game, but then we have whole DLC extra content. Ice Arrow is not willing to do anything. Okay. This whole platform looks like it's gone now. Really? So the platform seems to be totally missing now. That was spinning, so maybe it wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Okay. Does spinning this do anything? I don't get it. Definitely seems like there would have to have been something. Definitely feels like this, getting to this spot. Getting to this spot. Like I'm still too far away. It probably is a case where if we had a gliding through the air ability, we could get those 2 XP orbs. So hard to keep these from falling over. Okay. Now that we have this plant, I guess we can get here, and then we could run and try and jump. Would we get any closer? I think it probably would be a case where you'd have to push it right to the edge and hope it just does not fall over. Yeah. Unless you were going to try and make a plank, which that wouldn't have been a terrible thought either. But I don't know how I really could have gotten a plank to work there. Increasingly, we're having to spend more and more time to find the same amount of resources as far as XP, and we're really not likely to get all the XP needed. So that's the way down, it seems. I'd assume that that's the way down to a boss fight, perhaps. It may just be several boss fights in a row in these last levels. And there's just so much stuff in the foreground. Yeah, weirdly, it feels like for a brief second there was a...
You dare come into my lair?
Yeah. It seems like they weren't really putting anything in the foreground that was too much of a problem.
Face the might of Goblin King.
Leave this castle or face my hammer.
Yes, you toad!
Now you die.
And once again, it's fall down a trapdoor and run for your life. There's really only so much I can do here. Like, there's no refill your health, seemingly at all, so I can see players getting very frustrated with this. A lot of jumping and shooting when we lose our main fighter character. Clearly this is mostly the main fighter character's redemption
Treasure at
attempt.
last. I'll keep his crown if you don't mind.
Hurrah! We've cleared the halls for Her Majesty.
And our
Well,
own
that kills
kingdom
the
will soon be
Goblin
safe.
King.
Shall we head back to the house?
Not so quick. I want to take a look around first.
Oh, must we?
So if the Goblin King really was the sister, we just killed the sister. Well, apparently, I could have done this. And maybe that would have burnt the guy. I guess that was another option. I don't think I could have really gone up. We have 3 skill levels. So we're still one more skill point away, really, for this. And this is almost certainly what I want. Although a time slowdown bubble may not actually be. Low gravity field. Thief shoots a low gravity arrow which slows objects' movement inside the area. Only one area can exist at a time. So I'm hoping that would mean I could jump through an area and do something. Jump higher.
Look, this is Isabel. It's got her name on it.
Yes, Rosabel's sister. The one who used to own the portal locket.
So where is she now?
What portal locket? That was talked about so many levels ago, so many hours ago.
Dear Isabel, happy 18th. Congratulations also for becoming the crown princess and heir to the throne. To celebrate, I have a surprise in the cellars. It's a big secret. Tell no one. Go through the laundry room. I'll meet you there, Rosabelle.
So, no does she.
The artifact of souls. It's imbued with great power. I could use it to bring you back and restore the kingdom.
Is that what she really wants to do? I guess that's what the Trine is the artifact of souls.
Come on, let's follow it.
Camera being very awkward there with me off screen.
After the battle with the Goblin King, the heroes searched the castle. They found strange clues hinting of another princess. It seemed that Isabel and Rosabelle had been close once, but what had happened to them? Despite Amadeus's reluctance, Zoya led them to the cellars to uncover secrets left in the dark.
So, yeah, once again, I'm not getting achievements for finding all the chests, and in that level it felt like there really weren't any chests, so maybe maybe I am getting all the collectibles that are necessary. We'll find out when we get to the actual end of the game, although there is also the danger that the extra levels just continue the story after we do the main game completion. Yeah, it seems like maybe it is Isabel that has been watching us through the mirror, the portal mirrors, or whatever mirror she's looking through, if that's not a portal mirror. And Rosabelle was just the one that sent us to kill the Goblin King, and I guess the Goblin King was just the Goblin King. And if that's the case, then I imagine there's a decent chance that all the goblins we've been killing throughout this game were just goblins. Increasingly, like I said, the levels are getting more and more difficult and more frustrating, and we're spending more and more time just trying to find one more XP orb so that we can potentially unlock an ability that would just make it slightly easier to find more XP orbs. It is a gameplay mechanic that is feeding into itself. You're potentially maybe going to get some achievements for unlocking all the skills and getting all the XP. So if you were motivated by achievements, which I don't recommend, but a lot of people are, then I could see why you'd want to play this game to its fullest. However, if you don't care about any of that, then all you would really want to do is get from the beginning to the end of each level in any way possible, regardless of how many times you died or how janky your solution was. And I'm not sure that there's really a lot of reason why you would want to even rush or speed run through this game, because the only thing you would be really looking forward to there is probably the story, which seems far too simplistic. Yeah, even when you just like look at the banner on Steam for Trine 2, it kind of highlights a problem in that all the faces of the three main characters are covered up. In the game, you maybe see some of the face of the wizard, but there's a helmet on the warrior guy and there's a mask on the archer lady. They've spent obviously no effort to have face tech, even in a cutscene, for these main three characters, Isabel and Rosabelle being shown in paintings. But because you're not seeing the faces of the characters, it's hard to relate to the main characters, which is hard to make you really want to play and see the story through on the main characters. And I think the achievements are doing a rather good job of following that up, because if I am right, the Pearl Diver achievement is the most recent one I've gotten, and only 30.5% of players made it to that point. So it kind of feels like almost every level you play, you're losing another 10% of the remaining players, just not making it to the credits. A good game ideally averages about 33% of players making it all the way to the credits. We're already below that level. A frustrating game will have really, really small numbers, and we are getting dangerously close to that. Potentially single-digit numbers as far as people that just made it to the credits. And I can see why now, certainly. I guess I had maybe a little bit more tolerance, but in the one day I've been playing just today, where I've made 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, I've just gotten increasingly more frustrated with the game. My thumb has gotten more blistered as the platforming becomes tighter and more difficult. I think part of the problem with the platforming also comes down to there's way too many scenarios that we're running into where you have just one very small, very specific platform that you need to land on, and you never get a reprieve from that where there's just a nice big flat area and there's kind of nothing to platform on, and you're just maybe going to run from one side to the other. I could see a chase sequence working well where goblins start chasing you on plains in 2 or 3 times throughout the game, and you just run to the right, and then as you run to the right there's a bridge and you destroy the bridge and all the goblins fall into a pit of spikes or something like that. That could work fairly well, and you could have a little racing mini game to see how fast you could run, without actually putting any pressure on it by having it actually be a timer. And then that could have also been a comedic sequence where you're just actively running away from the goblins instead of fighting them. But yeah, a little change of pace, a little change of tone, a little anything. There's no B plot happening in the story. There's no interesting side quests or side notes from other characters. So you're really committed to enjoying the main story, or you don't enjoy anything at all, or you're really committed to enjoying the main gameplay sections, or you're not enjoying anything at all. We've had smaller and smaller side areas where you can jump and platform, and those should be the areas that are difficult instead of the main areas. Anyways, I think I'll leave it at that. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's some links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.